Well, hello, my name's Treesap, and I just got done playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Took me 23 hours, did all the side quests except for 3 where I would have had to go out and find all the collectibles in the world, and I simply do not care about collectibles unless there's a guarantee of some interesting reward. And I imagine this game there was no such thing, so I didn't do it. Now, Bloodlines 2 was something that I've been keeping track of ever since it was originally announced, and I was rather apprehensive given that the game has had some problems throughout the years given its rough development, with the original studio that had their hands all over it having to strip from those hands and given to the Chinese room because they had a lot of problems. So the game was redone from the ground up, completely changed everything, because originally you were playing a Thin Blood, now you're playing an Elder. That's a massive difference, and those two types of individuals make for vastly different stories when it comes to Vampire the Masquerade and just World of Darkness as a whole. Now, I am a fan of the original Bloodlines. I'm a fan of the World of Darkness in general, whether we're talking about Vampire, Werewolf, Maid, Wraith, Changeling, or any of the large host of games that were put out by the original White Wolf all those years ago before they went bankrupt, and inevitably all their IPs ended up in the hands of Paradox, who, of course, you probably saw the news before this game came out, which was kind of a controversy that they try to charge you an insane amount of money, really. You had to buy the highest edition of the game to get 2 clans, Lasombra and Toreador, and that's something I didn't like because I wanted to play Lasombra. And Toreador is also a big part of really any vampire game because they're all over. They're a very popular clan as well, given they kind of play into this really big archetype of the vampire being romantic and sensual and such, so a lot of people like to play. And on top of Malkavian not being a clan you can technically play, you do have a Malkavian in there in your head, but that's very different because you only really just talk to him. You have a few flashback scenes in this game where you do play as him, because this game does have a mystery element to it, and he is a detective. His name's Fabian, and I actually like him as a character. He wasn't that bad. He was cool. And your character you play as Fire, which is a stupid name. We all know it's a stupid name. The game knows it's a stupid name, even calls out the character's name as being stupid. And honestly, I think the self-awareness makes it worse that they named him that, honestly. So it was meant to be a joke or a haha moment. Didn't really laugh about it. There are things that I like and things I don't like about this game. The story, I kind of like it. Initially, I wasn't too intrigued by it, but as things went on and I made it to the end, I liked the places that it went. I don't know all the variations you can really get based upon the choices you make. Obviously, I know there's multiple endings to the game because there are big choices, mostly revolve around the dialogue and such, or things you make in kind of cutscenes here and there. Really, I only could see a few choices that made sense for me to make within this game, given that some of the things you can say don't really make sense for you to do, at least from my perspective. Somebody else may have a different one, depending on what kind of role they're trying to play. This is kind of a role-playing game, I suppose, though you are a set character with a set identity, but there are choices you can make. Though I was playing, I was like, how would any of these dialogue options that really would do nothing but make whoever I'm talking to hate me benefit me whatsoever? Only time I really made any decision that irritated somebody was either in a situation where realistically a choice I had made before separate from them led to something where no matter what I said, realistically they were going to be upset about it based upon how they've been shown to be in the game. Or I was looking at the dialogue options and none of them really seemed like, I don't think any of this is going to really work out, so I just chose something. But for the most part, every character had a positive opinion of me by the end of the game. Even the leader of the Anarchs, whom I'm regularly killing her people, like regular. They're all over the rooftops. I'm brutalizing them daily, sipping on like Capri Sun. Not a problem. Even she brings up the fact that I am murdering them. I'm like the big bad wolf out here. I'm killing everybody I come across. Still, she likes me. And honestly, I don't think I really missed out on anything by just making decisions that placated and satisfied people. It's not like I lost any choices, at least from what I know of. I haven't played the game a second time, but I do know because I did reload a save to see if I made this negative choice, what impact would it have, and I would have lost out on other information because I said something the person didn't like. And this is a story-based game, and people probably want to learn about the world and things like that and learn about the characters, so just saying things that in some cases really don't benefit you whatsoever. You just miss out on things, really. And when it comes to the flashback scenes you have with Fabian, because you have dreams and visions and such when you talk to him, at certain moments of the story, usually after you've done a story quest and that's finished up everything for that night. You have to go back and go to sleep in your haven. These are interesting. You get to learn about what Seattle was like in the past and what these characters were like in the past, and you get to see some interesting stuff. The dialogue options you choose from don't really change anything. You kind of just go through them until you find a lead because he is a detective and lets you progress through it. And they weren't uninteresting. You are running around from different locations. He has his ability to let you speed up, basically fast forward and go through the city. It's fast, but it still feels relatively slow because you're going from one part of the city to the other, and it's not massive, but it still takes a little time. That was a little bothersome, but other than that, I have really no complaints about those flashbacks. And the only reason it even was bothersome is because when you're playing as Fire and you're going through the city, because this is an open world game, well, Fire's incredibly fast, they can glide, they can jump high, they can climb up buildings pretty easy, they can jump down from, no matter how high the building is, they can jump down, land perfectly fine. Of course, you have to be careful, and you will have to just move at a really slow speed, at least compared to when you're sprinting and dashing and gliding, because you can't really dash or run at your top speed through the streets because that's a Masquerade violation. If you don't know anything about Vampire the Masquerade, the Masquerade is something that vampires, at least ones in the Camarilla, and usually Anarchs as well, try to keep up because you don't want humans to find out about you. If the hunters come in, everybody might die, so best to avoid it. But the Masquerade system in this game, it's easy to get around. It's not like it's super hard because you gotta do something very obvious for it to go up quickly. You know, you can jump from the highest building and land into the ground. It might go up a little bit. By that I mean the bar that goes from green when people are a little bit suspicious, yellow when they're a little bit more suspicious, and red when they're like, okay, that's something supernatural right there. And that's when the comps might start shooting at you, but you can get away pretty quickly by just scaling up a building. So it's not really something to worry about. You can feed, but usually the only time you really need to feed when you're running around the open world, and it's not a situation where you're on top of a building fighting some enemies, or an alley fighting some enemies, is if you're trying to get resonance, which is basically what's required to unlock abilities from other clans. And these are all Fire's old abilities because, at least from when I was reading the story, one of the legends about them, and you'll find it's like a codex or something, is that they were known for having abilities from numerous clans. And that's one thing that made them so powerful and such a capable individual, because you're a legend in vampire society. Not just because you're an elder, because you are a individual that did a lot, the nomad, or roaming around, fighting, killing, or whatever, because that's something you can make decisions about based upon some dialogue options where you tell people about your past. You kind of make a choice. Oh, yeah, I was doing this, I was doing that, and that's kind of you deciding what the legend about you is. But the blood resonance thing will require you to feed from somebody. So first you have to get them to a secluded area because you can't just feed in the middle of the street, but there's plenty of alleyways for you to take people down, and you do have some disciplines that you can use to just easily get people to come your way, and you'll have easier access to these based upon what clan you choose. But for the most part, depending on what type of blood resonance it is, either one, you can go up to talk to them and they'll be attracted to you and they'll follow you, or you'll go up talk to them, they'll be angry, they'll chase you down in hopes of beating the shit out of you, and they'll follow you down the alley. Or they're doing something, usually breaking into a car, and they get scared of you and they run into an alley, and you can drink them then as well. You can also make them feel this way depending on what type of mood they're close to being in, because you can scan, use your vampire vision, and you can see, oh, this person's in this type of mood or that type of mood, and then you can go up and talk to them. And this can be easy or hard based upon what outfits you're wearing, because you might be wearing one outfit that makes you look attractive, or more attractive, I guess, because people talk about how attractive Fire is in this game plenty of times. But it's also outfits that make you more effective at intimidating them, or things of that variety. But you can also just make them angry by saying bad stuff to them. But usually this is really necessary because you will be shown a easy target on the map. One is already in that state of being happy, sad, anxious, whatever it might be. And you can just put a waypoint on that, go over, interact with them, go to the alley, drink them, finished. And one of the side quests gives you plenty of resonance points, at least for all the abilities I thought were worth it. Because by the end of it, I had what felt like the best set of abilities I could really have. I could easily get through any combat encounter without much trouble. And I feel like that's kind of what the game is going for. You're an elder, you're supposed to be powerful even in this weakened state you find yourself based on the story. So you're just ripping and tearing through people. And that is fun. It really is. And I guess that kind of brings me away from the roaming around the world to the actual combat. Like I said, you're strong, you're powerful, and you only get stronger as the game progresses, and you regain some of your original strength through unlocking all your disciplines, or at least the disciplines you want to unlock. Now, you only have 4 disciplines equipped at once, so it's basically going to be, hey, you got an ability that lets you do some type of damage, you got an ability that lets you move around quickly, you have an ability that lets you control people's minds, you have an ability that's an ultimate one where you do a lot of damage or you do something very specific, but it's powerful. And then you have a passive, 2 passive, really. You have your initial passive based on your clan, and then one you unlock after you unlock all the disciplines from a clan. And all the passives you unlock, they stay with you permanently. You don't have to switch them out like you have to do with the disciplines. I didn't unlock every discipline, didn't really seem useful. I tried out a few of them, but I always went back to very specific ones because they were just the best. There's definitely what feels like to me to be a perfect build. But hey, different people play different ways, but there's not that much variety in how you're going to play given that there are only certain abilities you can have at a time. And you can't mix and match multiple abilities of the same type outside of going to the skill tree, which requires you to pause the game and switching them out. And if you've already used the other ability, you're going to have to regain those blood points by attacking the enemy, getting them close as possible to being dead, and then draining them, getting those points back. Usually, you only get 1 or 2 points per enemy, maybe 1 extra or 2 extra based upon if you have a certain passive. So it's usually no real reason to do that because you can't really combine them. You can combine other moves, yes, but not moves of the same type, which is something I wish you could do because I feel like that would be a really fun thing. But hey, it's good enough. This is a game primarily where the story is the focus. At least that's what it feels like. And it would make sense given that Chinese Room's history of making story-focused games, where the gameplay is there, but it's just there to add to the story. You know, I also had to say you can restore blood points without draining somebody of blood with one of the 4 types of potions you have, but you don't have an infinite source of those and no surefire way of accruing more. You'll find them usually during the story in different locations in whatever area you're going to, well, progress the game. So I imagine there's a limited amount of them, and you can only have 5 at a time of each potion. So that blood point potion, a potence one, and potence is one of the disciplines that gives you super strength. So you can make your punches more powerful. You got one, I think it's a fortitude, a discipline that makes you, well, very tough and durable, and then a health potion. But most of the time, potions are really only useful if you're in a very bad situation. Like there's some enemies you can't drain later on in the game, but they are dangerous, and they attack in numbers, and they don't flinch very often from your attacks like a lot of enemies do. So you might use potions on them, and during the boss fight, which there are a few of. Not that many, but when they happen, it will be good to have the potions. Though, as long as you're dodging and doing things properly, you might not even have to use them that much. The largest number of potions I used was in the final battle of the game. So combat, passable, decent. As for the side content, it's a little bit mediocre because, let me tell you what the side content is. It is, you're given a quest to kill a vampire, usually a thin blood. You're given a quest to kill a person who's done something wrong, and you're going to get some retribution. Or you're being sent to deliver something. Or, like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, collectibles. Go collect these things in the world. You'll find them. Some you'll find just randomly when you're doing a quest. Others, maybe not. I didn't find all of them. Like I said, don't care about collectibles, so I didn't do those 3. So that's really all you have. There might be a little bit of information about the world, some dialogue here and there. The person you're doing a side quest for might like you more. At the end of the game, you'll be given 2 side quests that have more of a choice to them. But there's really no ramifications for that choice. It doesn't matter which one you make. So it's just not much to it. So really, to put my feelings out there, this game is just alright. It's fine. You know, I don't want to crucify it and leave it out in the sun to burn. But I also really can't sing its praises up to the heavens either. It's just alright. It's a poor sequel. Probably shouldn't even been a sequel. If it's just its own game that took place in the World of Darkness, I think people would have been far more receptive to it. But it being a sequel kind of sold some people on it, most likely. A lot of people would not be as interested with just a Vampire the Masquerade game. Some would have, but let's not act like Vampire the Masquerade is really that big of a thing. I don't think it's topping any list in terms of tabletop games, really. It's enjoyable, it's cool, but despite being a fan, I'm not going to pretend like it's something that is the most well-known thing ever. So it had a lot less eyes on it if it wasn't a Bloodlines sequel, even if it's only really in name. But decent enough game. I don't know if I could really recommend it. Maybe if you catch it on sale. Maybe there'll be some more interesting stuff with the 2 DLCs that are coming out like next year. But by then, I don't really know how many people can be interested. I'm not going to play those DLCs more than likely. But hey, if you're a fan of World of Darkness and you're just looking for anything video game wise to play related to it, there's other things you can play. But if you're looking for something that isn't like a visual novel or a text-based game, but more than likely, even if you're watching this and you're an individual like that, you probably already purchased it or planning on to do it later when it's on sale. So, hey. And that's really all I got to say about this game. If you enjoyed this video, you can like, you can subscribe, you can do none of that, or the complete opposite. It's really up to you. I appreciate you watching it. Peace. I'm out.